know what I hate? There's a long list of things that I probably don't like. Hate might be a strong word, but what really drives me crazy, and that is crappy internet. Living in the country and being in agriculture, we use internet at all of our hog barn sites, and where we live, it's terrible. We've got maximum data plans, and we've got antenna systems, and we've got all sorts of things to try to deal with the crappy internet we've got. I was born and raised right here on the farm that we live on, and since the beginning of the internet, the rural part of America has pretty much been left out because I have had crappy internet pretty much my whole life. From the days of dial-up, to having it from the phone company that wasn't fiber, to antenna systems that don't work very well, to satellite-based systems that don't work very well and have terrible latency. It's never been very good. We always kind of get the shaft out in the rural America when it comes to technology. But with any luck, we're going to change that.
So not only do we rely on the internet for our personal use as farmers, but we use the internet every single day in our operation. All 3 of our hog barn sites use a system that's called a control. And this control tells us all the useful data we need to know about what's going on in our barns. From the temperature of the barns, to the amount of water pressure the pigs are getting, to what fans are running, to how many gallons of water the pigs are drinking, to how long the feed line motors ran, all that good stuff. And if anything ever goes wrong, there's an alarm system hooked up to this control that gives Dad or I a call. That way we can rush up here and get to the source of the problem right away. And for that to work, we have to have this control and the alarm system running on the internet. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So today, Dad and I spend around $700 a month for our cellular plan and our internet. We have a phone line and internet at each one of our hog barns, and we have 4 hog barns. And we have phones with unlimited data because our internet is so damn bad. So we're hoping that we can turn our $700 bill into a $200 bill using the Starlink system. So not only does our internet cost us a bunch, but it also is really, really slow. And just to show you guys how slow it actually is, Dad is going to do a speed test at his computer at home, and you'll see for yourself how truly painful it is to have internet in a rural area.
Okay, so before we start this whole deal, I figured I'd show you what I'm getting for internet right now. So I'm sitting at my house, and Sawyer has the same service as I have, and our speeds are basically the same. I'm gonna go to speakeasy.net is what I use for a speed test. I'm gonna start the test. It's barely going. As you can see, it's like really having to think about it. So I'm up to 0.9. Ooh, 1 megabit. Yep, there you go. So my download speed is 1.4 megabits per second. That wastes a lot of time. But what's even worse is the upload speed. 0.8. I've called and I've talked to people and I've changed my package, and what I'm paying for and what I'm getting is not even close. I'm paying for, I think, like 10 or 20, and I'm not even getting like 2. So it's very frustrating.
So as you guys can see, our internet is horrendous. Not only are we farmers, but we're also YouTubers. And for me, trying to upload a YouTube video with this kind of quality of internet, it can take a long, long, long time. I'm really hoping and praying that the Starlink internet is what it's all cracked up to be. That is enough talking. Let's actually get into the unboxing and installment of the Starlink system.
Look what I got today. Starlink. Thank you, Elon. This is from SpaceX, and I signed up for their beta when they only had a few of them out, and I didn't get that, but I got an email the other day, like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. It said it was available, so I signed up, and this arrived today, and we're going to hook it up, and we're going to see how it works. My troubles might be over. It all comes wired together. I don't know how much any of you know about what Starlink is, but it's a different type of internet service. The main thing is it's satellite-based instead of land-based. And there's been other companies that have done satellite-based internet. HughesNet is the one that comes to mind. But what makes Starlink a lot different is the latency. And the latency is how much delay there is in the signal. And if you've ever used HughesNet, you know the latency is just atrocious. And the reason for that is because their satellites are quite a ways up. Starlink, the satellites that they've put in place are in low Earth orbit. I want to say, and I could be wrong, I want to say they're about between 400 and 500 miles, whereas HughesNet and other satellite providers have been way higher than that. And then the other thing that's different is Starlink has been launching multiple satellites. You've probably read the news. They've had a Starlink launch here. Now they're launching them about every month. And they're launching about 60 satellites at a time. And they've got maybe like 1,200 up already. So these satellites are orbiting the Earth. The signal not only goes up to a satellite and down to wherever that signal needs to go, but it also goes between the satellites. And then it picks what satellite's closest to wherever that signal's got to go. And how that all happens as fast as it does, I don't have any idea. Their service started in the far northern part of the United States and the southern part of Canada. And as they've launched more satellites, now then they're opening it up to a larger and larger group. And eventually, I think by this fall, winter, they're going to start offering it in other parts of the world. Their goal eventually is to have enough satellites that they can have high-speed, low-latency internet available anywhere in the world. And if they can do that, not only is it going to make Starlink a pretty valuable company, but it's going to change a lot of people's lives around the world, especially countries that today, don't have any internet. So the first thing that you kind of notice when you look at this is it basically comes all wired together right from the factory. So it comes with a pile of cord that runs from the dish itself, and the dish snaps into this tripod mount. So you can literally take this and just set it out in your driveway. Now, we're probably going to set it up outside on the driveway, but eventually I'm going to move it up and mount it to the roof, but I'm probably not going to try to do that right now. This is the power supply, and it supplies the power to the dish, because once you plug it in, the dish, you don't have to position it. I don't know whether you remember getting DirecTV or not, but they have to kind of get the satellite or the dish pointed in the right direction. This finds the satellite. So when you plug it in, the dish powers itself and it rotates and it finds the satellite. So this is the power supply, but then it's also the internet coming back. It's your signal coming back, and then it goes to a router, and that router has one extra port. But what you can do is you can come out of this port and then into your existing router if you have multiple things to plug in. So the dish itself, it's pretty beefy. I mean, it's nothing fancy, but it's pretty heavy. So now you know kind of what we've got and what we're supposed to do. So the next thing is to try this out. And I guess what I need is a toady. Sawyer.
5 minutes later.
So I'm like a kid on Christmas. I can't wait. So rather than take it up and mount it on the roof, we're going to plug it in, run it in here to the garage, hook up the power supply, let it find the satellite and see how fast the internet we can get. Then we'll worry about how we're going to mount it on the roof. It's like walking and chewing gum. I'm not very good at it. So we'll just set it up right here. The only problem is that everything I touch becomes an area to accumulate. I was doing a little plumbing, so I gotta clear a spot. I need a hat over my hat. I was supposed to replace the water filter. I haven't done that yet. There we go. Perfect. When I plug this in, if everything's right, our dish should swing up and try to find the satellite from where it's sitting. So let's see what happens. Well, it found its satellite. Sawyer got a little sun and it found the satellite, so let's go in and we'll get the Wi-Fi, see if we can get some Wi-Fi, and then we'll check the speed and see what it's doing. So when it comes up Starlink, obviously, and then you connect to it, and then you got to set up your password for your internet. I did that. I've got a great signal. Okay, so we made it. We've got Starlink installed. We've run all the cords, hooked up the router, done everything, and so we're back to speakeasy.net. And if you remember, our old antenna-based internet, we had like 1.4 download and 0.8 upload. So I'm going to go ahead and start this again. So start test. We'll see what we get. So it's running up in the 90s right now. Okay, so our download's 97.3, which that's pretty good. It varies some, and they said that it will vary because until they get more satellites up, there'll be some fluctuation depending on time of day. Just depends. So our upload's 28.8. So 97.3 down, 28.8 up. And when you're going from what we had before, it's a game changer. Last night I actually came in and I started a YouTube video on my computer. I went to the living room and started a movie on Apple TV, and I went upstairs to our bedroom and started a different movie on Apple TV, and I had all three of them running and was actually on my phone, and it all ran flawless, which if you have good internet, that's not that surprising, but for us, we've never been able to do that. So I'm very happy right now. So some of you might be at this point scratching your head a little bit going, well, how in the heck are these guys going to get internet and phone to all these sites with one Starlink system? That's a great question. We're not 100% sure on how we're going to do it, but we know some people that have done what we're talking about doing, and I think we can put together a plan to make it happen. So our intention is we're going to have our Starlink system mounted on our barn because that's one of the highest spots on our farm. And then from that system, we're going to send the signal to, I would call it an antenna, and that will make the signal available to any place that we have a receiver. And so we'll mount a receiver to both our homes and our shop, and then each one of our 3 hog building sites. On this home farm site, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 receivers. And at the north site, which is our grain setup, and my two barn site, we'll have 2 receivers there. And then at Sawyer's hog building, he'll have a receiver there. Now then, this system works on what they call line of sight. And there's people that are doing it that have sites or they're sending that signal maybe 2 miles or more. And we're not near that far. It's just a question of whether or not we can get a good line of sight to make the receivers work. So if we can make that work, we only need 1 Starlink system to do our whole farm. But we might not be able to do that. And if we can't, we're actually going to have 2. One will do what we call our home site. The second one will go at our grain site, and that one will do the grain site, my 2 hog barns, and then Sawyer's hog barn. So if we have to go with 2, it'll cost us $200 a month for the internet system, the Starlink system. And then we're still going to have our phones, but we probably will save quite a bit of money because we don't need unlimited data, we don't need the hotspots, we don't need all the cellular stuff that we're paying for now, so we're thinking we can probably get by for $100. So either way, we're going to be way less than what we're spending now. And we'll take you along for the journey. Trial and error will get you a long ways, and we're hoping for the best.